Welcome everybody back to Nain's Shorts, or welcome to, if this is your first time, thank you for watching. For those of you who continue to support the channel, thank you very much, and I hope you continue doing so, because this is a lot of fun and we really do want to continue. Plus, we love this space. It's Physique Magnifique, as you know already, and if you don't, it's a great place to train. As you can see, there's a lot to do, and this is just the basement. There's still an upstairs and an upstairs to that. So come on by. It's at 387 Grand Avenue in South San Francisco. It took me years to learn that address, but I finally got it down, and even still, I kind of stutter sometimes. But if you're ever in the area on the peninsula, please stop on by, come meet us, the Konversation guys, and we can play or train or do something crazy. We'll figure it out. There's also great food in the area, which is not the best thing to promote at a gym, but everybody needs to eat. So, what have we been doing in training so far? How has our training changed? How has Nain's words affected what we do other than make you laugh? Well, I hope at least it makes you laugh, but hopefully they have inspired you in some way to up your training, or maybe think about something that you haven't explored in a while or haven't touched on in a while, because there's always something more. There's always more to go in depth, more to understand, and more to really think differently about. And I think that's really the biggest key into being able to discover something quote unquote new. While it may be a subject that has been introduced to you prior, whether it's something that you forgot or maybe just didn't understand its significance at the time, or your instructor completely forgot to tell you about it and said, oh yeah, I forgot to mention you're not supposed to do that. Whatever the case may be, we really have to step outside of ourselves, outside of what we know, the boxes, the walls that we build around us based on the knowledge and understanding that we have so far, and really look at it from a different perspective. Now, if we're talking physically in any sort of building, that's literally a doorway. You can stay inside of it and you see everything and you understand everything. You're so comfortable in it that in the middle of the night you can get up, walk to the bathroom, and not hurt yourself in any way, shape, or form. You're half asleep, but you know the space so well, you know what's inside of it so deeply that you can just traverse through it easily and nothing happens. And I think of knowledge in that way. We know the knowledge, we know the stuff, we understand it, but is that all there is to see? And we really have to step outside of that in order to look at it differently. And lately we've been talking about literally that, doorways, entries. When it comes to sparring, when it comes to techniques, when it comes to actually applying the things that you learn and the strategy that you then implement to be able to accomplish the things that you want to do, to get the hit in, to get the feint in. And what are all the components that go along with it that really make that happen? First of all, who opens the door? Who gives you that entryway? Is it the opponent messing up and doing something that they're not supposed to? Say, attacking you randomly, if we're talking about pure application. If we're talking about sports, it's a whole different monster altogether, but ultimately a lot of the same concepts would apply to the idea that somebody's trying to hurt you, you want to make contact so they stop hurting you or stop trying to hurt you. How do you go about doing that? We can talk about techniques all day, about swinging sticks and all the mechanics that go along with it and how to generate power and all this and that. But if it never reaches its target, then how useful is it? What becomes more important in being able to open that pathway to your targets? Now, the way I was taught how to move, and really how to swing a stick, and even a knife to a certain extent, is the idea that I'm constantly close to my body. I keep everything tight. I generate power using my mechanics, as well as all the other multipliers from my joints, and we don't reach out very much. We don't really extend all that often, which means in order for me to hit somebody with this stick, I have to be pretty close already. So how does that translate into what we're talking about, into openings? Well, if I'm this close to my opponent, well, then I can reach that door anytime I want. I can reach my target with any part of my weapon that I want because I'm already this close. But that doesn't mean that fights will start there. We'll probably be at a distance, especially if there's weapons, because more often than not, we see people extend. They want to use the full range of the weapon, and there's arts that are even focused on the idea of using longer weapons, keeping that distance between each other to get the most out of them as possible. But even at that distance, you still need the idea of creating that opening, because if you're both swinging at each other, then what are you really hitting other than the weapon itself? Even that became a concept in the way that I was taught, in that I'm not trying to go for that weapon. I'm trying to go for the hand that wields that weapon, because that in itself becomes that entry, becomes that opening the door for me to be able to move on to the main body. Oh, well, I guess we have a demonstration coming. Hello, sir. Hey. All right.
No, nice then, La La Land.
Yeah. So, if we're at a distance and we're just doing this, nothing's happening, right? We can do this all day and it's fun and exciting, but the moment that I stop that hand, now I can move on to everything else that I need to, open up all the doorways, all the avenues that I want in order to achieve the goal, which is to stop that person from hurting me. If we're talking outside of combat and we're just doing, say, competition, well, the same ideas apply. If we're at a distance, nobody's getting any points. But if I make him respond to something, then I can get my points in. I can make the contact. Now I'm forcing him to open the doorway for me. So there's two different ideas. One, you let them come to you, so they attack. Now you're close by, you can do everything you need to. Two, they're keeping their distance, so you force them to move and do something that allows you then to open. Two very different sides of the same coin, in that you really want to get everything from your opponent, take everything away from them without giving anything up. So if we understand that if I do this, he's gonna attack that, right? You'd be stupid not to. This is a big swing, you can see it coming, but I use that to my advantage. I use the understanding that somebody needs to take care of something in order for them to feel safe, in order for them to not get hurt. Now we're talking about the concept of what is going on in the mind of the person that's being attacked, as well as the person doing the attacking. Because at one point or another, you're interchanging between the two. If he comes out of nowhere and just attacks me, oh crap! And I'm just trying to protect myself as best I can. And if that's all I do, then he's eventually going to swing again. He's going to hurt. He's going to keep going until he gets the best of me. But if that happens again and I go, oh shit, and I just bluff, oh, that oh shit moment became my entry into everything that I did. Did I probably get hit? Yeah. But again, you're in a fight. That should probably be something that you've discussed before in your training. You're going to get hit at one point or another. What do you do when that happens? Now we happen to be in a situation where we're both squaring off. Neither of us want to. We're testing each other. We're going back and forth. And I give him something to take care of. And I take advantage of the situation. Now, keep in mind, folks, for those of you who are just joining us, none of this is scripted. None of this is anything that we trained before. He literally made the decision to come on camera after we started talking about it. So that goes to show you, we planned none of this thing out. But what we do is explore these ideas to the point where it becomes ingrained into all our movements. Attacking the weapon hand, being a major proponent of that, making sure that I know where this is. I'm not going for that weapon. I'm going for everything else that drives that weapon. And if at one point I just want to stop, I'm going to break the thing that drives the rest of the body. Why? Because that's going to drop them. That's going to give me the head, knocking them out, or heaven forbid doing something worse. But stopping the attack altogether. Because no one is going to do this. They're not. If we're talking about whether it's competition or an actual fight, no one's just going to throw one thing and then wait for your response. They're going to keep going. So if that's the basic idea behind it, how do you use that then to your advantage? Somebody's attacking you, it's a lot easier to say, I'm just going to go and explode and get the best of it and hopefully survive the situation. But if you have some sense of, oh, something is coming, well, then you can even bait your opponent. You can open up a certain way. You can say, hey, attack here. Why not? Big old target, they're going to take it because that's the situation that we're in. Thank you, Rick, very much. That was awesome. And if we're talking in the sense of a classroom, you see it all the time. The instructor says, go ahead, give me an angle 1, or do this, or whatever hand signal that they do to illustrate that they want you to attack. You're literally opening the door, giving them the pathway for them to accomplish whatever technique or whatever instruction they're trying to share with the rest of the class. That's an entryway. That is something that happens on a regular basis. Some instructors say, go ahead and attack. And they just open up and they just kind of invite you in. That too is that same strategy now being used, not just as a teaching tool, but an idea to use later on in application. And I want to go back to the idea that it is also being taught as a teaching tool. It's one thing to give the student X, Y, Z, exactly what they need to do to learn certain movements. But then to apply them, we can't give them any specific scenario because there is no specific scenario that they're going to use it exactly the same way. At least I don't think there is. But if you give it to them as a concept, if you say, look, here's the door. Here's what to expect on the other side, but guess what? It's not going to be exactly that. But if you understand the fundamental ideas that exist within that exchange, within the back and forth that happens in a fight, whether in the ring or out in the street, or even while you're sparring and training with your fellow classmates and your instructors, well, then it gives you the freedom to adapt and adjust. Take care of the things you need to take care of and move on to the things that then you want to do. Once you get past that first hurdle, the rest should be a little easier. But then once that hurdle is taken care of, that one punch, we'll then move on to 2 punches, then 3, then 4. Throw in a kick, throw in a puño, throw in a strike, throw in a cut, because that then is going to give you a more, I think, broadened understanding of the possibilities that could happen in an exchange. That one attack isn't going to be it. Your defense to that may not work. All the techniques that you have may fall short in that moment. And it could be more of a sense of where you are mentally. Because if we don't even consider the idea that, hey, things aren't going to work out exactly how I learned them. They aren't going to be as clean or as useful as I believe them to be in the class where everything is given. Well, then we're never going to think of ways out of it. We're never going to think of different routes to take. Maybe we can't open a door symbolically in that situation, so we have to symbolically look for a window. Maybe break some glass. And again, symbolically. But I'm sure you get the idea that when shit hits the fan, whether there's a referee there or not, you really don't have much else to rely on except what you trained. And if what you trained isn't working, what do you have? So, just another idea. What are the doors that we're opening in our minds in reference to our training? What are the physical entries that we're taking into consideration? Are you close? Are you training multiple attacks? Are you training to go in different directions? Are you focusing on making sure that every time you get this one punch, you're doing something completely different and adapting to the ever-changing situations that is a chaotic fight? I don't know. That's on you. How are you training this? How do you view entry points? And what do you do to reflect that perception of it? those ideas, how do you then promote them? How do you change them? How do you evolve them so they fit what you're capable of doing and not what your instructor was capable of doing? Because let's face it, folks, if we try to emulate our instructors, we're going to fall short. So that's maybe a door we should leave closed altogether and not even try to look for. And let's find our own way. Let's find our own entry into that mastery that we hold so dear and we hope to one day achieve. Or at least I know I hope to achieve one day. For those of you who are already there, I applaud you and I kind of hate you because in my mind you're just more talented. But for those of you who are like me, who are still striving to get better, look for different ways. Even within the stuff that you already know, change up the things that you do and see what other openings you get because of it. And as always, just keep on training, keep on working, asking questions, questioning what you already have. So, folks, thank you for joining me on another one of Nain's Shorts. Like and subscribe, please, if you haven't already. Share to anyone that you might think would find this entertaining, if not helpful in some way. Until the next one. It's 3, 2, 1, cut!